Say, man, I want to welcome you to the Cronkite Show in social media history. No music tonight because I'm back out on the block out here in Brooklyn Center at the police station for the nightly protest. Um, but we appreciate you taking the time out to tune in. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, and I'm the five-star general. And I'm gonna start it off by somebody defaced the mural of George Floyd in Houston, and they had to call a big old press conference because the artist was gonna fix it and make it right. Why you Negroes feel you needed a press conference? Because you just told the vandal that did it, we fixed it, now come back. And I hear some folks talking about, man, they better not catch him down in third. What, y'all ain't gonna bust a grape, man. You ain't gonna, look, we got far more important things to do, especially with our chief police chief that's was at this press conference. We need Troy working on other things. You ever heard of violence? Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
Yes. Hey, you guys, welcome to the War Zone Thursday night edition. We are glad to have you. We're a couple minutes late, but hey, a lot of people are out of work, got nothing else to do. A couple minutes ain't going to matter. But what I want to talk about is something that there's a lot of stuff going on. There was another shooting again. I think that these race soldiers are saying that if they're going to be doing any shooting of some black folks, they need to get it all in, within the month because, they know the laws might be coming down, hopefully maybe changing or something like that. And here's what I got to say, what I think was most important that I saw in the news today. In the Senate, the Asian hate crime bill, which they have put under the COVID-19 hate bills, what they're calling it, but they incorporated the Asian bill within it, was passed overwhelmingly by the Senate. Now, you mean to tell me a false narrative was made to get a bill to protect the very people who have the highest per capita of any citizen in the United States? They get a bill passed within 100 days of Joe Biden being president. 300 years, we can't get an anti-lynching bill passed. We can't get the George Floyd bill passed. We can't get anything that is basically black passed. I want you guys, especially those of you guys who are the Biden and the Kamala brigade. Y'all would just, we gonna do this and, it's gonna change everything. Biden's going to get in here. Racism's gonna stop. Racism is actually happening at the top. And you know what Joe Biden is telling y'all Negroes? Sit y'all asses down. I'll get to it if I ever get to it when I feel like it. Demetra?
Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope you're having a great day. I am, as you can see, my new name is Dr. Loomis for reasons I cannot disclose at this moment. But if you get to know me pretty good, I'll let you know why I call myself that. But anyway, if you guys could do us a favor and share this live so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation, we would greatly appreciate it. And so last night, the discussion, I wouldn't say it was hated per se, but it was pretty intense, because we were talking about the murder. I'm calling it a murder of Ma'Khia Bryant there in Ohio. As you guys know the story by now, and then maybe some of y'all don't know the story. Man, from what I see, a lot of people are going for from the sound bites or the photo or the video, but they don't know the stuff that's kind of filling in the blanks per se. So a lot of people thought that the girls that were attacking her were her age. Now, Ma'Khia was 16. Those girls, from what I understand, are in their 20s and 30s. So these were grown women that went over to Ma'Khia's house with the noise, right? And so from what I understand, that they called the police, but it seemed like it was taking a minute to get there. So then Ma'Khia called her father and someone else to go over there and help. So that's how her father got there. Now, how they ended up outside, I do not know. But you guys also, as we said last night, Ohio is a stand your ground state. And if I understand this correctly, too, on April 5th, they extended that law to where you can actually, finish somebody off, even if, they're not actively pursuing you anymore. But if they're on your property, you can finish them off. So that's what I saw. How true it is, I'm not for sure, but I think I read that from a pretty credible place. Also, the officer that shot her is a skilled marksman from the military. So I know they're trained to shoot center mass, but I'm thinking, if you're a skilled marksman, did you have to give her 5 to the chest or 4? How many of it was? I don't know. Questions still need to be asked. But the other thing too is they're calling these ladies, women, I don't even call them ladies, these females that went over to her house, the victim. And how are you a victim if you went over to somebody's house to get busy? Like, how are you the victim and you grown women going after this 16-year-old child for whatever reason? They're being called victims. And so we've seen, and you guys I'm sure have seen, the conversation continue to play out online. Well, the cop wasn't wrong. And if that was my child, she could have killed the girl in the pink. And, all this other conversation. Her dad is a horrible person. And he might be, but somebody calls you and your daughter's in distress. I think you would do what probably most fathers would do is go over there. Now, it still needs to be said, like how they got outside and all of that. But we want to actually talk about solutions. But I'm going to give it to Donovan and Gary, and we want to take you guys' comments too. If you guys have any solutions and things you guys want to talk about in the comment section, we'd love to read them. But I'm going to give it to Donovan and Gary and see what they think about it.
Well, we kind of discussed this last night on Clubhouse. I go into a room called Boss Talk After Dark, and I mean, it got heated in there. It really got heated on Clubhouse last night. And I just believe that you got to change the mind frame of the kids to a certain degree. But as I said before we came on, you can't change kid behavior until you change adult behavior. That's not going to happen. So you got to remember, when you have children, however folks say it, if you have multiple kids, one of those kids are going to be just like you. One of those kids are going to be just like you. So I think that we got to figure out a way to change adult behavior, because we had adults at this scene that could have stopped this before the cops even got there. But because their behavior is so messed up, they just, to me, I mean, by them not doing nothing, or maybe they tried to do something, I don't know. But it escalated it. It escalated it. It was grown men there trying to kick somebody in the head. Why didn't you just try to break it up and make the people leave the yard and go about their business, then wait on law enforcement and handle it that way? We're not thinking. I think we got to change the kids' behavior, but before we can do that, we got to change adult behavior.
Yeah, the officer involved, he's been put, of course, on a paid vacation like they usually do. When was the last time that you guys broke your job's rules and they said, just go home with pay, no problem? Where is that? Where does that even make sense in law enforcement? I mean, it just doesn't make sense how you reward somebody who possibly could have done a crime and you're going to pay them while they're sitting out. And if they're sitting out waiting, it could be a year and you're paying them. But the officer involved in this shooting, he joined the Air National Guard. He's at the Columbus Air National Guard station there. In 2015, been deployed multiple times to Afghanistan. He works for the security forces. Remember, we were telling you guys, and I was in the military, I noticed all of these white race soldiers seem to go right into law enforcement or security forces in the military. They would do 6 years and get out and go work at immediately get picked up by the police station. So he's out there doing that. Yes, he was a skilled person. So not only is he getting training in marksman and from the police, he's also doing it on the weekends with the military. So yes, that's a sad situation. But you got a lot of pros and cons with it. People are seeing this part of the video, that part of the video, and everybody's got their opinion about it. But like you said, Demetri, we need to come up with solutions, because in North Carolina today, there was another shooting, and they're still trying to get the facts on that. And once again, the mayor of Columbus has said, let's wait and get all the evidence before we do. And, I hate when they say that, because it's basically giving them enough time to alter videos and get their stories straight. And by the way, the mother of the young girl that was murdered, I'm going to say murdered, was not even allowed to view the body yet. She has yet to view the body of her own daughter. And nobody's talking about that. But 5-star real quick before we get back into that. The young man that was killed in Minnesota was laid to rest today. You are at the police station. Give us a little 411 on what's happening over there.
It's kind of somber mood over here. There's not a lot of people out here today, but it don't get crunk out here at the police station until the sun go down. You know what I'm saying? So, somber mood in the town in general. There are gonna be some things this weekend. I know I have to attend a march, a full gun march with the Panthers and the Brown Berets for Adam Toledo in Minneapolis. So I mean, it's just a city that's going through a lot, and I hate to see it, because if you've never been to Minneapolis, it's a beautiful city, man. It's a beautiful city, man. You got some good folk here, man. I mean, I'm from down south. I don't see black folk and white folk get along like these people, man. But they tend to get along up here. They figured out a way to live together, and it's just a somber mood right now down here in Minnesota, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine it would be, like you said, the funerals today. It sounds like I saw that they televised it, but I was like, I don't want to watch it. I don't like funerals at all. So yeah, I didn't watch any of it at all. But yeah, we need to come up with some solutions, and right now we are what they call Monday morning quarterbacking, but we need to be more proactive instead of reactive, because that's all we can do right now is react. It's just disheartening to me to see so many of our people, jumping on the bandwagon to demonize that 16-year-old child, and it's almost like we just love, not almost, a lot of us do like to do the bidding of massa. White supremacy is going to do that to her all day. And then here we come. Like, we just have no solidarity at all. And I'm not saying stand in solidarity with nonsense. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying at least hold your tongue. There's people all up and down social media. Oh, she had it coming. And, I got to be with the police on this. And, just a whole bunch of stuff. And it was like, ooh, it's crazy to me. But yeah, we need to come up with solutions. And I agree with you, Gary. It does start with the parents. Parents need to exhibit better behavior, because we are the example and our children are watching us. So we need to figure out something. So what do you guys have in the comment section?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this here. It needs to be the parents, but at the same time, like I said this in Clubhouse last night, that everybody keeps screaming we need a village, but when the villagers try to do the work, somebody got a problem with us doing the work. So when we try to check your kid and try to put them on the straight and narrow, put them on the right path, you got some parents that want to fight you, want to shoot you, different things like that. And that's why I'm saying adult behavior has to change, and a lot of people just have to understand that it's like the little girl that cried wolf when you're dealing with these youngsters. As much as I want to support them, and I do support them, it's like the little girl that cried wolf. So many times these youngsters are out of pocket. They out of pocket. It's hard when something happens for you to turn that corner and say, well, nah, they right this time. Because a lot of times they just not. They just not, man. And I hate seeing it, because I've saved a lot of kids. And my goal every day is to save one kid. To save one kid. So if I accomplish that goal, I've done a great job in the course of a day. But imagine me just saving one. How many did I save? You see what I'm saying? I've been to more funerals in the last 5 years than a whole bunch of y'all could ever imagine. I had to get with my group and give toys to a 4-year-old that was shot by an AK-47 in Houston. Give toys for Christmas a couple of years ago, little Sir Romeo. I mean, you just looking at the foolishness of what is going on out here, and to me, it's nothing but a bunch of damn foolishness. And I'm just at a point where I'm trying and I'm fighting, but I'm really getting tired. I'm really getting tired. So when something happens, it doesn't shock me anymore. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't shock me anymore, Donovan.
Boy, so I agree with everything you just said, but D. Lou says, and I think this is very pivotal. I don't know if Demetra agrees with it or not, because we know Demetra likes to stay in the middle. I don't know if she's a Republican. I don't know if she's a Trumpster. I don't know. I'm messing with it. D. Lou says, never side with the police. And that's my mantra. I don't care what the police says. Yeah, we saw the video. I have my opinion on it, but I'm not siding with the police when I come out with an opinion, because they have shown time and time again that they are not worthy to be trusted because of the bullshit that they do. So, I'm never going to side with them, but you have people out here, 5-Star and Demetra, that say, well, we got to get more education. And I know you're a big education advocate. Is education going to change the behavior of inner city children and kids and, make things better for us as a people?
Education is just an attribute to the change. I mean, a lot of this shit is just common sense, man. I mean, we got to start using common sense. And think about it. I mean, last week before, we had a video up of a 4 or 5 year old kid shooting dice in the barbershop. You see what I'm saying? So, you raise these kids to be monsters. And then when the game is brought to you, then you go funding me, you rest in peace t-shirts, you want everybody to feel bad. But the whole time, you set them up for it. See, parents are setting these kids up for this type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? They're setting these children up for this type of stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you. We got some folks sitting there right here, right now, watching us. You them parents I'm talking about. You them grandparents I'm talking about. Don't sit here and act like 100% of us got this shit. We straight with it. No. These are somebody's children and grandkids that are out here wilding, man. So no, it's going to take more than education. It's going to take some common sense to come through the front door. And I think that if you got the time to do nothing right now, why don't you take your kid to the criminal courthouse? Let them watch some of these cases. These courthouses opening back up. Reginald Gordon does a thing every year in Houston where they have a program at the funeral home. I want a kid to clearly understand, do you understand where your future is taking you? Because if not, you need to go over there and talk to that man that run the funeral home and find you a box for you to lay in. Because if you don't, then it's deals at the point.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to education, I think education helps. I think it gives you some more information that you didn't have before. And Jonelle, you say you can't make a good choice without true awareness, and all sense ain't common. People nowadays lack connection to their innate God-given intelligence. Yeah. And, unfortunately for us, it's really just getting worse, And like I was telling my daughter, because, new music Friday, music comes out every Friday, and it's just the most gutter. And I'm like, do these artists make music to see who can outdo the other one, who could be the nastiest? Like, okay, last week they was talking about doing it this way and that way, and then this week, and I'm like, do you notice? Because we watched it last Friday. I said, you notice all of our artists, being Black artists, when their music was just disgusting. I said, but the white artists that we watched, they wasn't talking all like that. I said, why do you think they do that to us? I said, because they want to, they being, the record companies and all of that, they want to appeal to our most lowest carnal desires. Because if you were intelligent and you were rationally thinking as a people, you wouldn't allow them to pump that into your community. you would those record companies would be like, okay, I'm going for that. You know, y'all remember how all three of us are old, and a lot of y'all old enough to remember when Two Live Crew tried to get it crunk. Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, was like, I don't think so. And that's why that parental advisory sticker is on albums now, because she wanted to censor the music. But they made a compromise and says, okay, well, you have to put this parental advisory sticker on there to let them know that it's some raunchiness. Now, they didn't care about your black child listening to it. They only cared when that music went into their community. The point that I'm making is they are aware. They are aware what that music does to people, right? And for those of you guys who follow the Bible and go to church, you know that Lucifer, Satan's gift, was music. Was, however you want to say it, was music. And so they pump all of that negative music into our communities, and we don't have the wisdom to say we're good. If you are going to give us something, let it be on the positive side. We don't know how many records you can make about butt shaking and, you know, sex this way and that way. And like, we're good on that. We want something of quality. Otherwise, we're going to shun it completely. But as Jonelle said, when you are aware of things, then you act more intelligently. You can understand what is being done to your people. But we as parents have to be wise. And I was talking to my daughter, and I'll finish with this. Talking to my daughter, I said, I remember when I was a kid, certain things came on TV. My mom and dad was like, it's time to go to bed. Okay, we didn't sit up and watch any and everything with our parents, because those programs were for adults, and it was time for you to take your little butt to bed. You wasn't gonna sit up and watch the Rockford File. I remember when that would come on, it was time to go to bed. Okay, so you know, we have to be a little bit more aware.
Yeah, Thunder says, I found something interesting. I want your opinion about it. Will you talk about it? Absolutely. Go ahead and put it in the comments there, and we will discuss it. But, you know, for those of you guys that don't remember, at least in our age, the great artist Prince, he was considered very salacious and raunchy in his music and his appearance and, you know, in his performances and stuff like that. But it was always subtle. It was always subtle. And then go ahead.
Prince was as nasty as he wanted to be. But let me ask you this, Donovan. Did you ever hear Lady Cab Driver on the radio?
Never. Right. Never. Right. And that's what I mean about being very subtle about it. I mean, you know, you had to really like listen in certain things. And then that, if you notice when you said the parental advisory sticker in the 90s, when that was really jumping off, it mostly went on Black records. It wasn't really on your Kurt Cobain records. It wasn't on any of those type of for the white folks. It was like just kind of the stereotype, the Black music. And that's where we're at today. And I really do think that the culture that we are in, or these kids are in nowadays, it is really affecting them because everything about it is negative. I mean, it's negative, 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 negative. When we were coming up, do you remember at RCC, BDP came to the school and Public Enemy, and, you know, they were talking about Black, you know, pride and all that other good stuff like that, and getting out of the hood and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with loving where you come from and remembering where you come from. But in our day, when you used to listen to a rapper, Run DMC used to say hard times. You know, you didn't want to stay there. You wanted to get out. That was the whole goal. But these kids, it's all about, like you said yesterday, ratchetness and the ratchet lifestyle. And that is what they think is normal. It is not normal. Just like traffic in these damn major cities. This kind of traffic is not normal. When you see stuff like this and you're sitting in traffic 2 hours to go 15 miles, that's not normal. And if you think it is, something's wrong with you. And just in our culture, when you think that it is okay for a 80-year-old woman to say that the song WAP is the audacity of WAP or whatever is normal, it's not. It's just not.
First of all, I've been a recording artist for 36 years. 36 years. So what I'm about to say probably get me blackballed. Who gives a fuck? I gotta say what I gotta say. First of all, that is not music. You saw music when Ronald Isley and the Isley brothers had a versus against Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's music. Frankie Beverly and Mays, that's music. Anita Baker, that's music. I'm gonna just tell you the real. I'm a rap recording artist, but Rodney used to tell me on the show every morning, I've never met a rap recording artist that don't listen to rap music. I can't listen to that garbage. I can't listen to that garbage, man. But let's just be real about it. Somebody wants the demise of black people. Now, I'm gonna say this, y'all. Ride with me. You don't have to agree with me. Who runs the music industry? The Jews. The Jews run the music industry from top to bottom. Let's get that straight. So if you want to say I'm Jew bashing or whatever, no, I'm telling the truth. The Jews run the music industry, and there was a level of music in it was a section of the industry that they would never allow you to have, and it forced artists to have to do what they told them to do. What section was that? That was the actual manufacturing and distribution of this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Remember, Easy found Jerry Heller. Jerry Heller was a Jew. Am I right or wrong? Okay. Heller was good at manufacturing. Easy was selling records out the car. Heller took him to another level. They would let you have any piece of the music industry you wanted except for manufacturing and distribution. So now when you're stuck on these record labels, you either gonna do what they tell you to do or they not gonna put your album out. DJ Quick was a prime example. He was on Priority. He wanted to go to Death Row. They told him, okay, you have to honor your contract. He had one album left, and for 10 years they would not clear that one album. And come on, that's Quick, man. Quick jam, man. But for 10 years, they would not clear that album. So when you saw him running around with Death Row, he was just like, the hell with it. I gave you an album, I'm not giving you no more, and I'm done with it. These people basically force these artists to do the type of music that they want done because they know what black kids are going to buy. You see what I'm saying? They know what the consumer is going to buy. So they promote the sex. They promote the violence. They do all that. And the only way that music will ever change, but I don't see it happening, it's going to take the Jay-Z's, the Eminems. It's going to take the big dogs to say enough is enough. We can't keep putting this type of stuff out. I mean, even when you get a guy like Scarface who transforms his whole life and now he's dedicated to saving children. Jay-Z, you the man. But Jay so caught up in the Jew aspect of it, of making all the money, you feel what I'm saying? That he's not. And contrary to popular opinion, most of these artists, you heard it from Megan. I've said before Megan situation popped up. They're signing 360 deals. A 360 deal was created by Lear Cohen, who was at Def Jam, because he got sick of pumping a bunch of money into these artists and they wasn't making the money back. So now they on 360 deals where the label gets all of their money. So these artists are walking around here broke. These kids are idolizing rap music artists that are flat goddamn broke. Yeah, but he got them chains, he popping bottles. But it go, I mean, you if you understand it, remember the New Edition story? Okay, you want to pop them bottles? You're gonna get that royalty check for $2. So every time you see them pop a bottle, they owe the record label. The record label funds all that. So these kids don't have anything. So that's why I'm saying you gotta have a big dog step up against the people that run the industry, which are the Jews, and say enough is enough.
You said a word there, brother. But I would say this too. Like, remember Dave Chappelle, where he walked away from all that money on Comedy Central? He said, you know, it was going to come a point to where they weren't laughing with me. They were going to be laughing at me. And I didn't want to do that to my people. So he didn't really say what it was. Of course, he said they always want him, you know, to run around in a dress. He wouldn't do it. But, you know, whatever it is they were trying to have him do to walk away from $50 million, you know, was probably the hell of a. But the most admirable thing about what he did is because a lot of people wouldn't have did it. A lot of people would have took that money. And, you know, the thing that comes to mind, you guys remember the soldier story when Sarge was telling the story, how he said how they, you know, put the bananas on him and made him run around like a monkey in front of all those white girls. And they was
like, no, not him. A guy like CJ. But go ahead.
Yes, the Sarge was telling the story, though. Yeah, he was telling the story about a guy like CJ. And so that's what it reminds me of. You know, when we have artists that do those type of things, they don't understand the impression that they're giving about us, or they don't understand what the impression they're going to make on the rest of us. Perfect example. And I know a lot of people say, well, Cardi B, she was parenting. Well, she was playing WAP and her daughter walked into the room, she turned it off immediately. Now, if that wasn't very telling to you as somebody who listens to it or a parent, then something's wrong with you. The music that she's made millions and millions of dollars on, pumping into your household, she wouldn't even let her own. Now, I get it, a child is a baby, but she said, you know, and I agree with her too. It's not my job to be a role model to your child. I'm not a role model to your child. And so the fact that she's okay with the garbage hitting your children's ears, that is very problematic. But yeah, I agree with you, Gary. We need people to walk away, even if it means leaving, you know, big money behind, because you have to ask yourself as an artist, what am I actually going to do to my people?
In regards to Thunder, now I looked up the question he had, subchapter C, and this is a statute in Texas, protection of persons, section 9.331, self-defense. Except as provided in subsection B, a person is justified in using force against another when and to the degree the actor reasonably believes the force is immediately necessary to protect the actor against the other's use or attempted use of unlawful force. So that's the statute. Demetra, 5-star, you guys got an opinion on that?
It sounds like a standard ground law. Because I looked it up. I mean, to me, that's what it sounds like, a standard ground law. So what question did you have in regards to that, Thunder?
Well, he just wanted our opinion on that particular statute. And that's what I was going to say. It's basically a standard your ground law. And basically, it's kind of open-ended because it all goes down to how I feel. If I feel threatened, I can just mow down the whole block and say, hey, I felt a certain way and I'm going to stand my ground because all of these people came to my property and I just mowed them all down. So,
well, I'm not looking for no trouble, but I ain't got time to read all them statutes. Don't bring that shit over here. You ain't gonna have no problems. Because if you bring it over here, my job is to make sure I'm breathing tomorrow. So I'm gonna handle it whatever way it need to be handled. So, you know, that's my opinion on that. But I'm gonna tell you something, man, that Cardi B is an example of what the problem really is. Now, you can pump all that devilment up in our kid's head, but you don't want your kid to hear. I'm not a role model. If you're not a role model, stop speaking for us for what we need as a people. Shut your mouth. And that's all it boils to. Just because you lay up every night and ride a black, don't mean you black. And that's how I feel about it. You think 36 years and you'd have heard my music. Do you really believe I ain't heard every pitch in the game? Do you really believe I ain't sit in Capitol Records, Atlantic Records, and listen to all them pitches? The difference was with me is I knew how to read my contracts. I knew that I wanted artistic control over my projects. And if I wanted to take, you know, an old school song like Got to Give the People What They Want, the OJs, and I just wanted to flip it and just do some good hip hop, then that's what I was gonna do. You're not gonna tell me that I gotta murder everybody on every song. You're not gonna tell me that I gotta be a freak on every song. When the artists get some backbone, then it is what it is. But these kids think this is a joke. And I'm talking about the artists, because if the artists don't do it, then the kids in the streets don't get to listen to it. The artists think that it's a joke. And the thing is, they out here, they giving away all this money. I want y'all to understand too. When so and so get out of jail, they on the gram giving away 50,000. You a lie. You a lie. You gave it to them, so that camera went back off. That record label exec took their money back. I done seen it. I done saw it firsthand. So it's all a lie. But who's perpetuating the lie? The people that force the music down our throats. So if you are Jew descendant and you're upset because of what I'm saying, there's no need. I don't Jew bash. I have no racism against Jews. I just know that I've been in an industry for 36 years. And if it was about money to me, I'd have did the same thing these youngsters were doing. But I would not allow these people to pimp me in that manner.
Yeah, because where do you really go from there? You know, after you done talked about everything you can talk about, and I mean, where do you really go from there? And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people, kids who are listening to that, their parents are very asleep. You know, because I know a lot, especially in this day and age, of like, oh, well, you guys are just, you know, it ain't that bad. And, you know, when y'all was young, y'all was listening to that too. And but we had to go find a lot of that stuff. It wasn't just on the TV and, you know, on mainstream radio. And it was bad too. I'm not making excuses for it, but a lot of people just allow their children to listen to that stuff and wouldn't.
You didn't listen to the Richard Pryor album. You didn't listen to the Red Fox album. You didn't listen to the Rudy Ray Moore album. You see what I'm saying? If you went to the Majestic OST, the movie theater on a Saturday, and with the kids show, if Rudy Ray Moore movie come on after that, they kicking all the kids out. It wasn't even an option. But nowadays, it's like, it's the normal. And this is where I say parents got to grab a hold of the situation. But they're not trying to raise their children until they kids try to put their foot in their behind. Then they want to raise them. Then they want to get help for them. It's too late by then.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the entertainment industry, it's kind of sad because, with the video games as well. I mean, look at the media, not just in the music. Look at how many bank robbing movies do we have to see Black people in order to get out of poverty? Yeah, everybody's going to rob a bank. I mean, I think in one year there was like 8 heist movies that went out, and it was all about the poor Black person. And here's another thing in the movies. I don't watch a lot of movies because Hollywood's run out of ideas and how to write and stuff. But notice in the movies, the white people are always in these really nice houses. It's always white inside, clean to perfection. Then they go and they pan to the Black neighborhood or the Black character. They live in the hood, or they live in all right, they're struggling, but still, doing what they got to do. All of these are subliminal messages that our young people pick up. The only way I'm going to get out of here, because don't get me wrong, these kids ain't stupid either. They're realizing the only way I'm going to go to school is I got to get all this debt and be an economic slave. They don't want to do that either. But this is why we say lack of resources and money within our community doesn't make sense when we are sending representatives constantly to Congress, and not one of them have even bothered to propose legislation to get us money, but $30 billion just went to the natives. And I'm going to keep saying that because our woes is based on lack of money and resources. But the video games, I run into kids in my neighborhood that can't seem to decipher fact from reality. They would ask me, well, is it really like that in Afghanistan when you're shooting at people? No, people will not melt in front of you, and then that's the end of it. You know what I mean? When you shoot them and they're dead, that doesn't happen. But they think it's a freaking video game, and it's not. But yet we will get our children the $500 PlayStation. We will get them the $300 Jordans. Don't get me wrong. You have some talented young kids out there. But the reality of the fact is statistically, less than 1% of any group of children are going to go into a certain sport. But yet we put that in their heads. And when they don't make it, it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and I want to take it a step further. I think more so our problem is not really, I mean, we got the money, right? $1.3 trillion in our community. I think a problem really is lack of knowledge. We don't know who we are. And when you're people that don't know who you are, any and everything goes. You're just completely lost. You have no foundation. And it just becomes the nightmare, that we see. Now, admittedly, it's not our fault that we have no knowledge of self because us, being brought over here. But it is our fault that we continue not having knowledge of self because there's so many resources out there, so many things to teach you about who you are. Hell, you can even Google some stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, right, to alleviate you not knowing who you are. But until we know who we are, then we're going to continue the downward spiral.
Let me tell you something, man. One of the biggest poverty pimps in America is America itself. One of the biggest problems that we have in our community, two of the biggest problems is guns and dope. Guns and dope. A Russian AK-47 is made in Russia. Am I right, Donovan? You military. It's made in Russia. How did it get here? The dope. Well, we probably wouldn't have as much of a dope problem if the DEA wasn't in bed with El Chapo, allowing him to do what he do. The only reason they shut El Chapo down is because he was about to build a big manufacturing plant in Asia. So they didn't want him to build it, and he said he was going to build it anyway. This is why they went after him. But the whole time he was doing what they were doing, they gave the Mexican government clearance to let him operate. As long as they could stop the killings in Mexico and all that, they let this dude pump this dope over here. The poverty pimps are the United States of America themselves. They have allowed this stuff to come on, but they don't drop an 18-wheeler of dope in Beverly Hills or River Oaks. They drop it in Compton and Third Ward. They don't drop all these goddamn guns in River Oaks and Beverly Hills. They drop them in Compton and Third Ward. They drop them on the south side of Chicago, in New Orleans. They are the ones that give these children access to the tools of their own demises. And you tell me, these politicians are in the state houses right now. They in the state houses, and ain't nobody jamming them up to stop the dope and the guns from coming over here.
Yeah, even as we speak right now, both parties, nobody is other than having a couple of press conferences and stuff, nobody's writing any legislation. Republicans used to get a lot of their money from the NRA. I mean, there is no political will to fix the problem because you people out there that are watching this show, like myself, and when I say broke, you are broke in the aspect is that you don't have billions of dollars to where you can pick up a phone and tell that representative what you want done or how you want this bill written. They do not have the political will, but yet we're Democrats. Supposedly, I'm a recovering Democrat. You guys are all Democrats out there. Some of you guys might be independent. I don't care. Whatever the case is, we're all black here. Most of us black vote Democrat, as we know. And yet we're outraged at all of these shootings and these killings. And so Joe Biden and your girl Kamala says they're going to push the Congress to pass the George Floyd bill and do some other stuff, right? Check me if I'm wrong. You control the House. You control the Senate. and you control the presidency. Why do you need to push Congress to do anything? You're the president of the United States, the leader of the Democratic Party. You say, this is what I want, and they put it on the floor, it's voted on, and you sign it into law. Why aren't we questioning that? And if you guys can't question that, and you continue to vote against your interests, it's your own fault. It's your own fault.
Well, let me ask you a question. Does the George Floyd bill get rid of the race soldiers that own the police force?
Absolutely not.
Ain't a goddamn thing that bill finna do then.
Gary, I sent Walter a link. He wants to come on, but Shock G died.
Digital Underground, Shock G. Oh, man. Gregory Jacobs. Wow. Damn.
Wow. 57, the undetermined cause of death. That young. Very young.
Shock G. Oh, have mercy. Now that was good music, man. He just wanted you to dance.
Man, you ain't locked, man.
Gave Tupac his start. Gave him his platform to start it off.
Yeah. That really sucks. Yeah, that sucks a lot. I mean, wow. Ooh, Lord.
So the thing is we have to, you got so many issues with us, man. It's so many issues with us. And a lot of it has to do with our representation. These folks fixing some of these problems. Why is it so hard to change legislation to save lives? Why is it so hard? Because in all actuality, they're helping depopulate the planet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because I was thinking that, so the drugs come into our community, and we know we didn't put them there. The CIA, they're all responsible for that. They purposely dropped the drugs off into our community. So it's a double-edged sword, and then they suck out the resources from the community, the jobs and everything. And then we have, crime out of control. Walter, mute your mic. Crime out of control. And so on one hand, we are taking each other out. And then on the other hand, we're also feeling the prison system. It's all by design. It's all by design. White supremacy is getting a 2-for-1. We are eradicating each other, and they're helping too. And then, the people in our community commit the crimes. Well, you fill up their beds in prison because, many prisons are privatized and they make money off of that because they got to guarantee a return on their investment to the investors. And so they can't do that unless the beds are filled, with bodies. And so I think once we realize and educate ourselves on how vicious this cycle is and how it is planned, it is a grand design to help take Black people out. Once we realize that, I think we would stop doing the bidding of white supremacy if we really understood how this thing works.
Well, you say a mouthful, because once they do the basics of what you say, then they're going to allow them to build a liquor store in your neighborhood on every corner. Then they're going to let them put a church on the other corner. And the philosophy with me is simple. Keep these Negroes prayed up. Keep these drinking. They create dope addicts and they create alcoholics because it's nothing to lean on once you at the bottom of the pit. You start, oh, well, God gonna see me through. The whole time you're talking about God, you got a fifth of gin in your hand. You see what I'm saying? It's all by design, like you said. It's all by design. And the way that you kill off a race of people is in the Bible. You start with the kids first, so they don't populate. You kill the kids off.
Walter, what say you?
No, I just wanted to listen in, kind of see what you guys were talking about. I'm sitting here with Erica Mitchell from the War Zone. I kidnapped her. She is tired. Man, y'all Texas folks, we be running y'all ragged.
That's right. Walter, you're sitting right down there in Houston, eh?
I'm in front of Papa Do's or Papa Do's or Papa Do's with 18,000 people. Ain't no pandemic in Texas.
What? You ain't at the turkey leg hut, the famous turkey leg hut?
I'm gonna be here too. I'm coming for all y'all, so I'm coming to visit everybody. But no, I just wanted to hear what you guys were saying. I heard you talking a little bit about money earlier, so I was like, oh, let me pop on for a few seconds. But yeah, I think you guys are on the right track. You know, I hear you talking about economics, and one thing I think we're starting to realize is we're not getting a check ever. Like, we're never getting a check from the government.
Well, let me ask you this, Walter, real quick. I'm going to cut you off.
No, please go ahead.
In your career as a financial analyst, you know, being up there actually witnessing, you know, with these people, how does money? It doesn't change your color, but how does money even the playing field when you're dealing with race soldiers or anybody else on a level like that?
You know what money does, and I in the last 2 days I've been in we'll just call it not so black lands out here. We were at the lake, and I was in New Mexico yesterday. And you know, one thing I think that helps people is the more you have your stuff together, the less likely you are to end up in a situation like that. Here's what I mean. There's some times, like I had a dude, I was telling my sister called me a nigger at the airport. Or was I telling you? I was telling somebody. And I wanted to beat him up, but then I thought, you know what? I got a lot to lose. I'm not going to put myself in a situation. So I think the more financially stable you are, the less likely you are to put yourself in a position where you may be injured or be in one of those situations. Because anytime, for the most part, when you see these incidents on TV or on media, a lot of the times it's a situation. Like we were talking earlier. I said, put yourself in a position where you don't need to call the police. Now, that's not all the time. Police show up, right? Like you get pulled over all the time. But in the instances where you can't control it, be in control of it. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you have something to lose, you're less likely to be in a situation like that. I've just answered part of the question. That I'm just a little bit, if that helps. Because when I was poor, I didn't give a damn. I would choke a fool. I wouldn't even think twice about it. The police show up, and we got a problem.
Jonelle, you crazy, but I love it. He says, right, dodge those, because we can't really talk like we wanted to on here. Dodge those N-word moments.
I mean, it's true. Like, we're getting better at it because people of color are waking up to the hustle. This old Joe Biden is going.
What is people of color? I hear people saying that I'm black.
Well, see, I don't identify as a black man. I identify as an African man of African descent. But when I say people of color, I mean like people, because you have to think, we of African descent, most people come from us. So if you're Puerto Rican, you have African in you, right? If you're Colombian, you have. So when I say people of color, I'm talking about our descendants. That's what I mean.
Well, let me just say this to you, and I know why Gary asked you that. Because we as black people, whether you're African or whatever, we identify as black, and we do that for this reason here. As Dr. Claude Anderson told us, stop calling ourselves minorities, because when you call yourself a minority, you get lumped in with everybody else. And so then when they have these, what do you call it, affirmative actions and, you know, all these different bills for minorities, guess who's a minority? Women are a minority. Asians, Hispanics, everybody.
White women.
Exactly. And they were the biggest benefactor of affirmative action. And so anybody who's considered to be a marginalized community, they are actually minorities. And what happens is they get all the minority benefits and Black people get none of it. So that's why we identify as Black. We don't identify, because people of color is just another way of saying minority, right? So we always want to make sure that we are B1 Black first, right? We always want to identify as Black so that they know we're not trying to be lumped in with everybody else. We need, in fact, Dr. Claude Anderson says that we need to be considered made into a protected class of people. So if you calling yourself a people of color or POC or minority, then that means everybody, and usually except your Black ass.
Right. No, I that's actually a good point. So that gives me a different way of looking at it. But what I think we can do, and I always go and say this, is we can start treating ourselves better, like our lives matter. Because, and you have some of these wackos that go on social media defending the cop killers, which I think is nuts, right? I don't care if you were the biggest criminal, if you just shot 50 pregnant nurses in a hospital, they will apprehend most of these people. But the Black people, African people, they just feel like they need to shoot them. I think that's insane. So, but we need to treat ourselves better, period. We need to start treating us better as a people and stop waiting for people that do not like us to treat us better. They're not going to do it. Ever, ever, ever. Matter of fact, it's going to get worse. And you guys are seeing it. Joe Biden and Kamala, they have bypassed Black issues, period. Right? Like they're not even talking about it. And this was the last chance, as far as I'm concerned. So, and you know what? We did it to ourselves. We put these people in office, and stop, Joe Biden and Jesus, they are not coming to save the day. They're not.
We got too much trust in the oppressor. We got too much trust in the people that have put us in this position. And we really think, you said a mouthful, you really think Biden is going to save us. You really think Jesus gonna come off the cross and save us. I want to wake you up and tell you today, tell your pastor, we still waiting 400 years and it ain't happened yet. So
Yeah,
I mean, people like, well, we in the last days. I don't care if we in the first days. I ain't seen him come off the cross and do nothing yet.
yeah,
Stop trusting the oppressor to fix your condition that he put you in.
yep. If you see a cross without Jesus on it, be careful. We were driving through, we saw this beautiful house, this big old piece of land with just a cross. And I was like, oh no, we're not stopping over there. So I don't know what it is with the cross, anyways, but I can promise you, Jesus is not a white dude. He's a dark, dark dude from the Middle East. So,
Well, if he white, if he black, if his hair is like coal or whatever, the dude been missing in action for millions of years. We need some goddamn help.
yeah. Well, yeah, Kanye got it wrong when he said only Jesus can save us. Only we can save us. That's it. I promise you, when I go to the ATM, I'm not praying to Jesus. I'm praying that my check hit, right?
Well, Walter, let me ask you this. You come on the show usually Thursdays is our financial show, and sometimes you're out there on ground level doing what you do. So you're living in California. What is your game plan down there in Texas? What are you doing? Because you would not be in Texas if it ain't about the money.
Listen, I love it out here. This is my third or fourth time in Texas in probably 2 or 3 months. I'm coming. This is easy money. I tell you guys, being in Texas is 20 times easier than being in California. You can literally walk down the street and go, I want that house. Oh, it's only 300 grand. Oh, my mortgage is 1,500. I'm gonna put it on Airbnb for 6,000. I do that 4 or 5 times, and I'm making 200 grand a year. It's not complicated. We saw a sign, 89,000, 5-bedroom house. I got their phone number. It's easy out here. Me, Erica, 1, 2. We talked about it, putting in a little bit of money and just buying something, even if we all pitch in on it. We buy a house and we all pitch in and we rent it out. People say, well, what if it don't work? Or what if Airbnb stop? Then we all own a house. What's so wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just came down here to accumulate. It's easy. The people are nicer. I was in the Klan earlier. Erica tell you. And I wave at him. I got out, talked to him, which I know people love. I'm like, hey, I asked the dude, I said, where's the money? Who is selling in this neighborhood? I want to buy it. And you just knock on doors. And that's what you guys have it made out here. You guys, you know what? Right now, as we sit here, thousands of people from California are on an airplane on their way here to buy this stuff up. Period. So you guys have it made. Where Black people are going to do better is when they do what I'm doing today. Right? Erica drove 2 hours here. Her leg is hurting. She's tired. But and my sister was out early. We drove around the neighborhoods. That's what we got to do, you guys. It's not easy. It ain't going to come to us, right? You got to go out. And we've been driving. I think I got here. I don't know what time I got here. 12? What time is it? 8? I've been looking at real estate for 8 straight hours.
Can I just say something?
No, go for it.
This Negro had us in what I fully believe in planned country, okay? He was driving us all up and through them white people's neighborhoods. I'm like, I know at least 20 white people got our license plate talking about there's some Negroes in our neighborhood. But I mean, we saw Trump flags. I was like, I'm uncomfortable. Okay, I don't want to be here at all.
Yeah. It don't bother me. I ain't worried about it. Because
and we know and you can tell they was like, this Negro ain't from around here because he's just, walking all up in the yards and all up in. I'm like, oh, hell no. Okay, because me and my daughter, he don't know this. We was in the car, like, if he don't come back in 5 minutes or we see a blazer streak of Black Negro running across, we leaving.
Well, here's the other thing too, is power, money, and confidence will take over the situation. The problem is when people see me, I come across as, hey, this is my spot. I'm supposed to be here. I don't show fear. I'm here to purchase. I came here to buy.
Gary, can you tell him that in some part, because you was a Texas boy, you're not a Texas native, but you've been here a long time, okay? Can you tell him, and Erica, you tell him too, there's some parts of Texas you can't just be no uppity Negro from California in.
I tried to tell him.
I mean, when I'm hearing him talk, what communities were you in?
I mean, we down in Conroe Lake. We went down to the shores, Margaritaville.
You in Montgomery County.
Right.
Yeah, Montgomery, Willis.
Okay, well, I want to give you some sound advice. Get the hell out of there before the sun go down.
Well, we got out of there before the sun went down.
You see, I'm not there.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, dog. Everything that look good ain't good for you.
Well, here's the thing. We were there during the daylight. 1, 2, we did see several Black people, but here is the thing. And so where do we buy? Like, is anyone on here looking to go buy in the all Black neighborhood? Show me one where there's property. I'll go. Like I told them, I said, money, first of all, I want to buy something and get the hell out. I ain't gonna be living over here. They like to think about this. The Asians, we complain about the Asians. They come in our spot. Asians will come in the worst neighborhood, Florence and Normandy, stick them up land and put a liquor store and bring their ass to work every day. They not afraid of us.
How many liquor stores did we see over there?
Well, that's a whole nother show, and we can talk about why. So I'm just going in, buying, and I'm getting out because at one point we have to.
Look here, man. I got some gangsters watching my show. You coming down there like you balling out the gym. You might want to calm that down a little bit, dog. I'm trying to tell you, bro. Because the jackals gonna locate you, man. They gonna
Well,
think you got a busload of money on you, and you and Erica gonna get your head split open.
I'm going home.
so where should we go then? Tell us where to go, where we can buy, where we get permission from the white man, where the black people ain't gonna rob us or the gangsters. Where should we go and build our wealth? Because
Go
right
down
now
to
we're
go down to
shitty
the county,
neighborhood.
go down to the city or the county courthouse and look on the tax rolls. You'll find all the property you want.
Well, if it was that easy, why are we driving the streets? Because I hear what you're saying, look on the tax rolls, and I know that's a thing. But you know what I don't see is I don't know anyone doing it. And I have a lot of friends in real estate and investing. And you know what they're doing? They're doing what I'm doing, driving around, touching it, feeling it. Because the tax rolls and all that stuff is YouTube fodder. It's made for YouTube content. Looking on somebody's tax roll and buying their house. Does anyone on this show know anyone that owns a house right now from doing it that way?
I know several city council people and they built their whole portfolio off the tax rolls.
Well, that's the council people because they got the tax roll in the next
The tax
office.
roll, the tax rolls are there, young man. The thing is, a lot of people down in Houston are just poor people that cannot do what you say and do. So I'm telling you where you gonna find the property. Now, if you want to find some property where they gentrifying and they selling things for a little bit of nothing, go through Third Ward, go through Fifth Ward, go through Acres Home, go through Northeast Houston. You go through everything we were talking about earlier, Studewood. Go through there. You're gonna find what you're looking for. I'm just telling you, no matter where you go, you better lock them doors, have a full tank of gas when the sun go down.
Yeah, well, that's this area and that's new for that because I've been doing this for years and I this is a new territory. So if what you're saying is coming to Texas and trying to buy real estate is a dangerous maneuver, then
You know what? Let me just go on and say this to you, okay? Because everybody tiptoeing. I'm gonna say this one time, nigga. You need to listen, okay? These people live out there, and because we went to look at a house. He had us go out there on Saturday, and me and my daughter was like, "Oh hell no!" There's a dude standing on the porch with a Confederate flag jacket on, and a Confederate. I said, "Where the hell are we at?" And then I Googled it. I'm like, we ain't supposed to be over here like that. Now, you guys know I ain't scared, okay? I ain't scared. But what I do use is wisdom. And that's what people are saying, you know, and because Donovan and I had this problem when we was in Africa. Oh, I'm not scared of anything. And I have to say, listen, nigga, okay? We in a whole different continent. I'm gonna need you to slow your roll. I know you ain't scared, but we gonna use some wisdom. So that's all people are saying to you is use wisdom. I know you're big and bad, and you can do it. Anybody telling you to live in fear, just saying use wisdom because there's a lot of Negroes missing behind what I want to do around here. Okay.
yeah. So we're again where like don't give me the tax roll stuff because that is fantasy. And I think this is our issue where that's I hear what you're saying, but I don't have the councilman connection. And most people listening to this don't have the councilman connection. So let's assume that
I
we
know,
stop.
I know you the financial guru and you used to doing things a certain way. You don't need a councilman connection. You need an ID card. Go up in the courthouse and ask for them tax rolls.
Yeah, I know
Same
how to
thing.
do that.
Same thing in St. Louis right now. I know a guy that's in the Black Panther Party got a 4-bedroom house off the tax rolls for $1,200.
Well, I tell you what, I'll put it out to the group. You give me those tax rolls or you give me the connection and we can start from there. But in the meantime, we need to make some moves. So where do we go until we get those rolls?
Jonelle said he had a good some good advice. He says like the banker, the movie I've never seen. He says Get a white girl or somebody to front for you, and you put up the money or whatever if you're trying to move over there. But I mean, nobody's telling you to be scared. Just use some wisdom. Don't be all
Okay.
in those neighborhoods because those people, they trust me. They know your black ass don't live over there.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not
they
down.
didn't know,
I'm not down
they
with the
didn't
white
know where
girl.
James Bird lived either, and drug him behind a truck with a chain.
Yeah, I'm not down with the get a white girl stuff. That's. I mean, I know people that do that because I hear people say that. I'm gonna get the white man to go in there. But at what point can we go in anywhere and buy something on our own without the white man's permission? Isn't that kind of what this is all about? It's to do for self. I mean, at what point? At
I'm
what
looking
point
at
we can
I'm
go
looking
ahead?
at Mr. Pirate Brain. How many tax roll properties do 5 star own? I don't own the properties. I'm not in the real estate game. That ain't my thing. Now, it ain't my thing, and I done showed y'all before. 5 star ain't hurting homeboy. I don't know who you is, but after the night, you ain't gonna be on here no more. Don't quit. I'm telling this man where he can go and get the properties. Now, if you was smart, you take your ignorant ass over there and get you a couple of them. Because the only property you seem like you want to own is some space in the county jail.
Oh, did he? Yeah. So here, here is why I'm here, and here's why I agreed to come on the show. Let do it. Like if somebody, like if the tax roll is a real thing, and one of y'all got the connection to the tax roll, and we could buy a house for $1,200, let's do it then. Get them to me. Somebody go get them. You talking? I'd rather spend 1,200 than 50,000 than put down 100,000 on a house. That just makes sense to me. Again, my question is where
A lot of black people don't want to listen, Walter. Just like you tell them how to go to the auction and buy cars. That's real. You can go to the auction and buy a car for a little bit of nothing. Take it, flip it. But y'all ain't trying to flip nothing. Y'all old school crack dealers. Y'all trying to flip some rocks.
well, right. We got to do something, right? Because our time is coming to an end. It is coming to an end. When every time I turn on the TV, I just get more depressed and more depressed. We are the original people on this planet. We need to do something to get our power back, and I really think it starts with us. We treat ourselves better. And I know you guys were talking about a lot of movies and a lot of stuff that's on, but you know what? Those are black people deciding to take those roles and do those things. I mean, at some point, we got to say, hey, we are in control. I can't hear you.
We might be in control, Walter. You live on another planet. Now I really Erica, I need you to take him through Third Ward, Texas. I guarantee you that when you go from one end to the other end, you're gonna be burning rubber like you in a motherfucking NASCAR race trying to get the hell up out of there. It's a totally different world. It's a totally different world. And the thing is when you start talking money, and that's why people couldn't understand Trump some days. When you start talking money, you're talking above some people's heads. So some people gonna get what you saying. Some people just don't want to get what you saying. Some people ain't gonna never get what you saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and I was raised, I was just, you know, I spent my summers in one of the worst neighborhoods in the country, period. My father owned a shop in South Central on Florence and Normandy, and that's where I spent my summers. So I don't know how bad Third Ward is. I would like to see it one day, but we need to do something. And even if it's starting there, I mean, like, what if we just own some stuff over there or hold on to it? I mean, something's got to change. And one day, Third Ward, it ain't gonna look like that. Because South
It
Central
ain't
LA is
well the thing
gentrifying.
is when you go through Third Ward, you're gonna see the gentrification. You're gonna see what Fury is talking about in Boys in the Hood. You're gonna see it. They were not going to rebuild my old high school. until they started gentrifying the neighborhood, and the white folk came in and they started building parks, and they build the bike lanes. So the thing is there's very little property left in Third Ward, but there are other communities where there's a lot of property, but you just need to be careful while you out there, man. I'm just telling you now.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking to go in and buy. I'm looking for vacation rentals. I have a specific thing that I'm doing. So that's why I'm on the lakes and I'm on the water. And it's unfortunate. Why don't we own more lake properties? Is there a rule that says black people in Texas can't own water on the lake? I mean, like, I was in Dallas. It's the same damn thing. I
It's a rule in some of them communities on the lake where they don't want no black people to own nothing on them lakes.
Well, I hear what you're saying. But so what? So you telling me we are the strongest people on the planet and we can't get together and buy in a neighborhood? I mean, is that what I'm getting? Because I'm trying to get my head around
75% of the time, the only time you're gonna get us together is to buy a sack of weed.
I would just like to say, I would just like to say, this is why doves cry. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't.
I mean, okay. First of all, we have to. Yes, we have to move. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna take this a little bit further. We got to start treating each other better, right? I came out here, and I'm gonna leave her nameless because some of us know her, to do business with an agent. I came out here to meet one person in particular, and she wanted all these things from me. I said, I can send you a bank statement. Just put an offer on the damn thing. I don't need to be there for that. And poof, it's gone. So we need to treat each other better. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to keep making my investment decisions based on the color of my skin. And I got to ask the white man for permission to buy some shit. That is insane. I understand going into a certain neighborhood. I get it. I live in California, so we don't have that. You know, I don't get lost in California and end up in like cross burning land. We don't have that where I'm at. So I
Well,
understand you got.
they got plenty of that around here. And also, you want to buy property close to the water. So I'm gonna lace you to the game. I don't know why Al ain't laced you. Al been here for a minute. Now you gonna try to get something on the water. Do you have a clue that it flood around here? Do you have a clue how hard it is to get flood insurance for these houses that's on the water?
Yeah, but I'm up north. I'm not down that far.
Well,
I'm
guess
going
what? It
up
flooded
north.
up there too. I'm just telling you, do your research before you go spending your money on that water. Before you really go, you're gonna have a real live water bed.
Well, right. That's another thing. I mean, I did my research on the flooding. I understand flood zones. But again, my thing is, and you guys, and tonight is just the four of us on here, five of us, is what do we do? I got the tax roll thing, and I'll do it. I'll look into it. If that's a real thing, I'm here another 2 days. I'll drive down in the morning and go get the rolls. If what you're saying is true, I'll go get them. It don't bother me. But we need to do something because every night I turn on the TV, another black person is getting killed, or be it us, or be it doing it to each other, or the police. Like, at what point is enough is enough? We just, every day, we as black people, we get pissed and we get all raised up and protest, and the shit calm down and we do it again. It's like, at what point do we own our future? I mean, like, Jesus Christ, y'all don't get tired of this shit? Like asking the master for permission to make a financial move?
Well,
Like,
you got personal color problems. We got black problems.
well, I got money problems.
Woo!
I'm trying to, like, I understand being black and the problems it comes with. Believe me, I had a Muslim father who reminded me every time I talk to him he reminds me of that. And I've dealt with some of that stuff. But I wanted to make sure that I worked on myself, because I know a lot of people that talk about that shit, but they're not doing nothing about it. And so one day we have to be in control of our stuff, or we're going to keep having this conversation. These shows, people have been talking about Black Power for decades, and ain't nothing changed. So what point is the different? What do we do different? Or do our kids take over, and for the next 40 years, they're doing the marching and this ain't right talk? What's the solution? Give it
Now,
to me.
did you see Earl Joseph's comment? He said there's no such thing as flood zones in Houston and surrounding areas. And then he come back and he hit you with, don't call it the Bayou City for nothing. Be careful what you buy, young man.
Yeah,
And if your shit get flooded, you might be one of the 11 houses they fix in 4 years.
right. Well, I'm in Houston right now. I'm in Houston. I understand it floods here, but why are people still here though? I mean, then why is anybody here? It floods, people rebuild. I mean, so I don't understand the flood zone stuff. I mean, I understand what flood zones are, and of course I do my research, but like I'm looking at property north of here, away from the ocean. Am I going the wrong way? I mean, I'm higher than most people that are listening to this thing. Away from the ocean. So far, that's like New Orleans is sitting at sea level under levees. I would never do that. But people still live there. And a lot of people, Black people, whatever it is, they do it. So that's a roadblock. Now I got to worry about floods. Of course I do. But like, what do I do? Because I know what I shouldn't do. What do I do? And I'm a financial planner. So if I'm asking the question, what do I do? What's everyone else doing?
Listen, this is what we're saying now.
Because the stock market game is over. As you guys are seeing.
Right.
That's done.
All we saying is just use wisdom. That's all we saying. We ain't telling that's on you. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me, Walter?
I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, D, we can't hear you.
No, you can. They can hear me, but you can't hear me.
Okay.
Keep going.
So anyway, we're gonna do closing.
That's fine.
I was gonna try to.
They probably.
We're gonna do closing.
Maybe they cut our sound.
We're gonna do closing thoughts. Closing. Anyway, I ain't got nothing else to say.
He must be in a bad spot.
I'm gonna say peace out. I can't hear you. So y'all enjoy yourself. I think they call us anyways. Yeah, we losing sound. All right, you guys. Yeah, I can't hear.
Final thoughts, Mr. Dimitri.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You know, I don't really have anything to say. Just that was very exhausting. Trust me, I was out there with him, and I was like, "This Negro got me messed up." Okay,
I'm gonna say this here: Montgomery County ain't the place to be.
I know that. I got discernment of spirits. I do. And I wasn't feeling good the whole time I was there. I was like, Y'all see a couple white people riding around on their little gold carts on the phone, like, yes, I spotted them. I just wasn't feeling it out there. I wasn't. So
I think he'll be successful with what he do. He just got to be smart. And it realistically, when it floods bad, and it floods everywhere. And I don't want to see him buy something and then, it's what it is at that point. Because they're not gonna fix your house. It's tons of people that watch this show that ain't got their houses fixed yet. So he got to be real careful with what he's trying to do.
And then the two black people, it was two black people we saw there. They was both working there. So it wasn't like we seen no homeowners. And listen, I'm the last person to talk a person out of their hopes and dreams, but I just think we as Black people sometimes we don't listen to wisdom a lot. And the last thing, we want to do is be having to look for you somewhere, and somewhere we would never find you. All them trees and wood. No. Donovan.
Hey, another great night. Tomorrow, you guys, I'm going to strongly tell you guys, tune in tomorrow. We are going to have the great writer, comedian, and longtime Houston resident, Al Jackson, is going to be in the house for Free Flow Friday. Dr. Loomis is going to get up off the seat. We're going to sit with Al, and I'm telling you, the guy, he has a comeback for every saying. So I just want to say that. It's going to be a treat. So if you guys want to get away from the negativity that's out there, hey, let's just kind of get away and just do something a little bit different and kind of lighten the mood a little bit. I think we deserve it. We got our victory for the week, and we got more shootings to deal with. So in the meantime, let's just enjoy the Friday and see what we can do with it.
Exactly. Well, I tell y'all what, man, it's been a joy. We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Talking about tomorrow, we're gonna talk about everything we can talk about. I'm thinking about going back into the club dancing me, so ain't no telling what I'm finna do next. Ain't no telling what I'm finna do next, man. But until tomorrow,
get your OnlyFans.
I'm thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about doing that just to have conversations that I really want to have. And I can say whatever I want to say in there. I might do me an OnlyFans, man. I might dance naked on my OnlyFans. Come get you some of this stomach. Until tomorrow night, man, we're gonna holler at y'all.